And there's a big ahem there. Yeah, sorry about the glitch. As far as I'm concerned, we're now in part two. Don't know what it's going to sound like when I strip both bits together, but there you go. This is Metaworld news for the week ending 15th of September, part two, because we well, all went wrong, didn't it? I was looking at the highlights from the Malbones feed at Twitter, twitter.com/Malbones, and pointing out that there have been an endless number of Voices of VR podcasts during the course of the last week. We got to number 308 here, which is a panel discussion at the Game Developers Conference on biosensor-driven VR development. It's actually quite an old panel discussion, but it's only just been published. Yeah, so go to voicesofvr.com if you want to find out more about that. Um, so, um, I don't want that plastic. I don't want Flash. What's the?
Flash, what was that?
Something there on screen, as you
You
probably saw, is trying
remember
to.
something about Flash vaguely in my
Yes.
memory long
Um.
ago.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever it wanted Flash, so you're not going to get it. Our friends at Hypergrid Business here. This is written by Alex Koroloff.
Hmm.
Does this mean that
Maria's son,
Madame
perhaps?
Maria's could be son, husband? I don't know, to be
I don't
honest.
know.
But
Yep.
it's a second Koroloff. This is quite interesting. I think I've
Hooray!
covered this before somewhere else. It's a VR art free festival in the UK here. It's going all over the place. Yeah, I'm sure I published this myself, and it's just been taken up by Hypergood Business. But anyway, it goes to Brighton, Manchester, and then the Barbican, and it starts in October. And highlights from the 2019 Alternative Realities Digital Art Exhibition, basically traveling around the country. Um, Look around on my feeds to find more about that, but this particular one you'll find a couple of days ago at hypergridbusiness, all one word, .com. Right, VR Focus, onto another familiar but different site. Um, Really, industry reports. Virtuality continues to maximize the power of crowdfunding in 2019. The will of the people is stronger than ever. Gosh, sounds like Star Wars or
Hmm.
something, doesn't
Hmm.
it? May the force be with you. Right. Sorry. This is very specific. We live in an era where startups just come from nowhere and they opt for crowdfunding, which instead of going for venture capital, well, it's venture capital of a source, but they basically want the crowd to cough up money before anything's been done. And when they've got the money they want, they proceed to get things going. This doesn't mean that the end product will be successful. It probably means the end product will be in the hands of the people, a beta version or beta whatever will be in the hands of the people that did the crowdfunding, and thereafter it may or may not take off. Some crowdfunding, of course, starts and then runs out of money, in which case the funders never get anything, let alone their money back. Others, having reached their goal, they've it out fairly carefully. Um, the point here, I think, is that we read a lot about, VR is losing its momentum. It's a gamer's thing, or be it the hardware or the software, and it's bigger in industry and out of the home than it ever is in the home, apart from gamers, really. Make of that what you will. It's obviously still a catchphrase for people with startups looking for startup capital, and basically this is what this post is about. It's when it comes to crowdfunding, VR is continuing to be a big pull for the crowds who seem to be eager to cough up money for projects. Um, this doesn't really reflect on whether projects are successful or not at all. Obviously, some have been and some haven't been. But it's clear that if you're looking for crowdfunding, the public, at least, who are really the people who take part in the crowdfunding by and large, are still willing to invest in VR, where maybe some of the strict, big money venture capitalists are less so. So interesting look at that. And it's quite a bit of reports, including some examples. Um, as it goes down, most of the examples here are hardware, cyber shoes, multi-sensory VR mask, Zenith, whatever that is. It's all pretty much hardware VR they're talking about in that article. Okay, moving on. That was, by the way, vrfocus.com. That's VRFOCUS. I won't mention the squashy business.
Hmm.
Right. Right, another offbeat site here. This is WNDU.com. I think this may be an American or yeah, Michigan, by the look of it,
It looks
radio
like
station.
a yeah, for a television station.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, MP. Yeah, 16 years now. Okay. Anyway, the article: virtual reality creates new learning possibilities inside LMC classroom. It looks like this. My betting is it is America because clearly the video isn't allowed over here in the UK, where I'm personally sending them by screen from. As you can see, there's an embed but no video. Right. It seems to be in Niles, Michigan, whatever. It's a college known for reading, studying long lectures, but they're adding goggles and controllers to that list. Blah, blah, blah. Very much a piece of local news there. Always, it's always sort of interesting. Some people who follow my feed will be in that vicinity. And, it's a measure of, if you see things like this in local place incorporates VR, then it's a sign of the times that it's kind of happening, if you see what I mean, regardless of where the place may be about water or not. Right, moving on. No, I don't want notifications here, thank you. This is a site called mspoweruser.com. I don't know whether the MS has anything to do with that Microsoft company. mspoweruser.com. And they're announcing that Google may be working on the wireless virtuality glass for their Stadia project.
Hmm.
And it shows a patent from Google um, showcasing a head mounted display. Which is that? Yeah, there you can see it now, or if you can make any sense of it at all. There are an awful lot more numbers than any actual information, if you see what I mean. Oh, there's 110. Where's that going? Oh, so next door to 140, but where's that going? 130 is going to that, and that's going to there, and 122. I guess there must be an accompanying document with that that makes
Yeah,
sense
they
of
look
it
like
all.
call outs to me, right?
Yes, exactly. So anyway, this is something Google are doing. Now, interestingly, I haven't got a link here about this, but there've been reports all week since Apple showed off their. Oh, God no! Well, why can't they bring us something new instead of an iPhone that's now got three bloody cameras and God knows it? Yeah, it's just going a bit too far, really. Um, but apparently, people have been snooping into the beta or the preview releases of the new iOS and, in fact, the new Mac OS for that matter. And there are very strong references to augmented reality. And people reckon Apple have some kind of glasses on the horizon that will be an accessory for the iPhone, which is kind of the thing I would be looking forward to, especially if they become a like plug-in monitor rather than have any heavy hardware built into themselves. This, despite the fact that other loads of other reports were saying Apple's given up on all this and everything else, but they made a new hire a couple of weeks ago, specifically a senior position in that division. So
Yeah.
I think reports that Apple are not doing anything in that area are not really to be taken very seriously. They clearly are doing something. Whether they can actually do something that um, is significantly innovatory, I don't know, or whether it be just a case of Apple doing what they do well. Most Apple products haven't been innovations in themselves. They've only been innovations in the sense they've cracked the key formula for something that's been in the works here or never ever anyway. The iPod was not the first MP3 player. It was the iPod that did it for MP3 players, if you see what I mean. The iPhone wasn't the first mobile phone. Arguably, the iPad was almost the first of its kind that could be taken seriously. But um, yeah. I remain pretty sure we'll see Apple come up with something. They've got enough patents on file too, and it may be nearer now than it was. But there was nothing mentioned at this week's launch about that. In fact, there were quite a few reviews of Tuesday's Apple event saying, what we learned about the state of the art at Apple is what we didn't learn at this conference, at this PR thing. Anyway, mspoweruser.com has that thing about Google's little product there. Right, moving on. Now, good old site here. We're often there. Road2VR.com. A couple of days back now, September 10th, this was. Exclusive. Vality is building a compact VR headset with ultra high resolution. I think there may have been an earlier post, maybe even last week, about this particular product somewhere else. Um, it doesn't look much different from a Oculus Vive sort of, headgear contraption. If you look at the picture there, maybe it's a bit more lightweight. Maybe some of the innards are a bit more compact, but it doesn't to me. It's a sturdy strap. Obviously, it's got to be, and then it's got the headset hanging down from it. But so it's a slightly different design. But I don't know that I'd call that compact. It's just different. Anyway, if I Vality is a German-based startup, and they aim to offer near Retina resolution in a compact form factor. This is corporate speak, isn't it? Compact form factor, please. Yeah. No, I'll have a maximized. Never mind. They want to rewrite the definition of the word comfort when
Ah,
it comes to VR headsets by drastically, reducing size and weight while delivering ultra high resolution. Well, good idea.
good
But
idea. Plenty of opportunity there.
when it comes to size, I don't think that's made it. As for weight, of course, and the other stuff, who knows until somebody actually puts it on
Yeah.
and passes judgment from a review point of view. I suppose let's get to this picture. I don't know. Is that more compact than any other one? It's probably more compact than some, but
Yeah, I see
less
much more of a
complicated.
person's nose. Often the nose is nearly inside the visor.
That is true. And the other problem, of course, is that it's often, in my case, I've got such a weird nose that the emotion there's a lot of emotion leakage, as it were, around my nose. Doesn't matter whether it's a cardboard or a Go or whatever. I can't get rid of the light coming in through my nose.
Yeah,
It's
I have the
just I
same
can't.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, it would be easy to compensate. You simply have a band around where it joins your nose. Have a surface that is like memory foam. So the first time you put it on, you press it down onto your nose, and it will block out all the light, and the memory foam will keep that position for you. But you know, yeah, I don't know why they haven't thought of that, but they haven't. That's the inside view. Prototype uses a pair of 2K by 2K micro displays, which across its 80 by 80 degree field of view offers 36 ppd pixels per degree. Oh, never heard that one before. In the center of the view. Anyway, read all about it because I'm no expert on this. I'm simply bringing you the news. You find this at road2vr.com, and the particular post is September 10th, which is um, I can't
Five
remember what
five
today.
days ago.
5 days ago. Okay, fair enough. Of course, we're working the other way today. Yeah, can't even remember what today's date is. Yeah, I memorized it for the start at 15th. That's it. Yeah, memorized it for the start of the show and now promptly forgot. Moving on. VR Focus again. This is a preview of something called Vero Move. More moves than you can sweat to. Could this be the ultimate fitness video game? Um, yeah, this is software product, obviously a game which is designed to work with Fit Reality um, kit, I guess. Move More Fitness Challenge, tasking a select group of players who registered to post their best scores in fighting styles, boxing, shooting, swordplay, and mixed. This is very much gaming stuff, isn't it? Really,
Hmm.
but the idea of it, I suppose, is just like looking at virtual reality on riding a virtual bike when you're on a virtual cycling machine. I mean, yeah, exercise machine. You put the two together and you get fit at the same time as immersing yourself in an odd sort of world. I'm currently watching. I've got a couple of episodes left to watch later tonight. A program. It's on Netflix. I think it's about 6, 7 episodes. Um, it's called Island, but it's I as in iPad, and then dash, and then land. And the first 2 episodes, all these people washed up with no memory on an island, figuring out who they are and what they were. And the first 2 episodes, I thought it was a rehash of the old Lost
Mm.
thing. And then the third episode blew it all apart, and I suddenly realized the whole thing's taking place in virtual reality. It's quite interesting. Episode 4, they're back in the virtual environment, but some things have actually changed on the back end. Well, one of them came out. They're fascinating. They're all criminals, by the way, in a prison. So they're being treated as, um, experimented on as prisoners. So who knows where it's going? But that was quite fascinating because, again, to watch it, you see, it's all filmed like, the resolution is perfect. It's the same as reality. So you watch the first 2 episodes, you don't have a clue that the third episode is revealing they'll be in virtuality because it's not like Tron or any even Avatar or anything that makes the virtual environment obvious. The virtual environment is simply another reality in their minds. Oh yeah, and they've got brain interfaces too. I should add that.
Yay.
So interesting series. I thought I'd give them a little plug. Um, I don't know. I presume you need Netflix to watch it. So um, or some other solution you may have. Right. Um, where are we now? Right, this is www.lonelyplanet.com. Lonely as in, oh, lonely, lonesome, and planet as in the big round sphere that we're kind of hanging on to for dear life. Lonelyplanet.com. Explore the Earth's ecological threats in a brand new way. Now, guess what that brand new way is, folks?
Mm. I can't.
Yes, you can't possibly, can you?
Can't
It's an
possibly guess.
immersive art exhibit at New York City, looking at issues in a whole new light. And of course, this is effectively a form of Arcadia Earth features interactive spaces with augmented and virtual reality, projection mapping, and more. So this is very much an out of home experience, but I must say it sounds rather exciting. Hopefully, it will come from New York to London or something at some point, and I'll get to see it. Can you imagine walking through that? That must be rather hallucinogenic. That's the real floor. I don't know what the rest of it. Maybe that's I don't know. Maybe you're under the melting ice or something, or an underwater ocean. Oh, there you are. You're with the fish underwater. It looks like fun, this one. Anyway, the exhibit runs to January next year, 2020. Admission is 29. Say $33, 29 euros. Why is it on Earth? Is it giving it in euros for a New York exhibit? I have no idea. Anyway, it's in New. It's spanning 15,000 square foot of no wheelchairs apparently. That, of course, that wouldn't be allowed in the UK. The NoHo real estate, 15 rooms dedicated to various different issues. Um, Okay, I can't actually see the address. It just says for more information, buy tickets, visit arcadia.earth. So that's the link you would want. So you can go to Lonely Planet, find that article, or simply click on the link on twitter.com/Malbones feed. Okay, Billie Eilish in Oculus venues. There was much. I didn't actually publish the links on this. In Oculus venues and in fact in Linden Labs Sansa, I believe there were two concerts recently. They weren't just your average open sim Second Life type concert. They were actually apparently famous people that I've never heard of. But then again, if I was 30 years old, maybe I would have heard of them. Billie Eilish was one of them, and she did a thing in he or she. No, that's a she, isn't it? I think. Did a thing in Oculus Quest, and I suppose it's inevitable that I picked out this as an interesting review. There was a similar review of something else. Billie Eilish in Oculus Venues was good as an exercise in social VR, so I guess it worked in that sense, but not a great concert. Now, whether that's a reflection on the um, performer herself, or whether it's just the technology did not make it feel like a concert, I think is the point they're actually getting at. Um, the same happened here in High Fidelity, in fact, with Thomas Dolby. Did a concert here, and it's all very enjoyable and very social, and people bouncing around. However, you didn't really come away. Well, you came as close to it, but you didn't really come away, feeling like you'd sort of been to a concert. Of course, you didn't have to worry about getting a bus home or anything, which helps. Anyway, this is uploadvr.com, and that is a kind of review of that particular concert. And there've been a couple of other reviews of similar things recently, which they either work as virtual reality but not as concerts, or or they work as concerts but the virtual reality aspect is lousy. Nobody seems to have got it right on both fronts, but there you go. Right. This is the BBC News site, BBC Co UK/news/technology, and a long number. 10th of September again. Um, Basically, we've been laughing and showing you loads of brain interfaces and stuff like that for virtuality and all sorts of other stuff, really, as we've been going along week after week. But scientists are now beginning to say that these brain hack devices really, really need to be scrutinized. They're coming online and being developed all too fast. And we can see what Facebook can do with a 2D web page to, take over our minds. There's a big worry as to what could be done to us if we're wired in, as it were, even wirelessly with some kind of brain interface. And I will concur with this. Science and technology and possibilities are all great fun, but I mean, there've been so many examples of technologies in the past that have not been scrutinized when they came online. We already have it with medicines and various medical things go back 100 years, and we had it with motor cars. Nobody sought to legislate or scrutinize the technology involved until it was too late. It had already become established. And so some people would say virtual reality itself, or even 2D worlds on the screen should be scrutinized a bit more to see what effect they have on our brains. But I think that's minor. But certainly the brain interface thing, I think, is a little bit worrying. Anyway, there's been a study too called I Human, blurring the lines between mind and machine, and it's been authored by leading scientists at the UK's Royal Society here, and it looked at some possibilities. I thought this was quite interesting for the actual technology. The ability to beam a neural postcard to someone so they could see what you see, even if they're not there. People being able to converse without speaking through access to each other's thoughts. People being able to simply download new skills. And as part of the report, scientists asking the public what they thought of such interfaces and found strong support for their use in allowing patients to recover from injury or medical condition. But there's far less support for using devices to enhance functions such as memory or physical strength in otherwise healthy people. So, etc., etc. If you want more about that, you need to go to the BBC Co UK /news and look in their technology section. It's about 5 days ago. The article: Brain hacked devices must be scrutinized. That's an easy enough headline to remember, or it will prompt you when you see it anyway. Okay, more hypergrid business. As you can probably see, we had another one up a while ago. Maria and Co at Hypergrid Business have put a new style sheet on their site. Hypergrid Business is not, well, it just about fits into my frame there, as you can see, but um, bit in your face, that banner headline type, you know, website. But never mind, never mind. This again is old news. Um, this is about something that happened here where we're talking to you from right now, high fidelity. Loveseat. Loveseat is the first place to combine virtual and real world audience. And actually, when this was posted, I think I put a copy of my Twitter post into one of High Fidelity's Discord channels, I think, and somebody immediately said it wasn't really. Um, they didn't think it had been particularly successful. Anyway, with the final performances were on September 6th, so you're not going to be able to see that now. Um, this is Alex Koloff again. Okay, he'd never used High Fidelity before, but considered the process of signing up to get in was simple enough, and he got to Love Seat in time for the performance and everything else like that. Noticed everything was purple. Gosh golly. um, Time the performance arrived, it looked like people were still prepping. In other words, it didn't start on time. Um, the real world audience actually did look rather packed, but the virtual audience in High Fidelity seemed very sparse indeed. There didn't seem to be more than 10 people in the virtual audience during the whole time. Um, Not surprising to me, he says, as lower user turnout seems to be a problem in social VR in general. Um, Technically, here in Hi-Fi, they can handle a much greater number of people. Certainly, some of the events High Fidelity themselves sponsored earlier on have actually achieved numbers, yeah, up to 500, which puts, old platforms like Second Life, even OpenSim to shame. Um, but I think these were sort of diehards, and it was promoted by the platform, of course. When you had, this kind of theatre thing, they've got to advertise it, they've got to get people in. The fact that the venue probably could have held 500 is, only relevant if you've actually reached, enough people to possibly get 500 people coming along to try it. So, yeah, I don't really know, but it's another case, of course, of the, oh yeah, well, this bit was great, but that bit didn't quite do it. And anyway, the reviewers said they enjoyed the Love Seat experience and could easily watch an event of this sort of again, basically. And the idea of hopping into a such VR platform seemed ideal. You know, hop hop in, hop in. Right. Uh, oh, Alex Koloff, we found at the bottom here. I don't know what relation to Maria he is. He's a marketing expert and COO of the publishing company Positive Futurism Press. Um, During the course of you have probably on our own world reviews show and the news from time to time. All of you are very familiar with Maria's voice and her avatar. She was actually on a real world camera webcast podcast thing. She was kind of an interviewee, so she wasn't really hosting it earlier in the week. It was funny reading the comments. Yeah, I've heard you often enough, and I've seen your avatar on the shows often enough, but this is the first time we heard and saw you in the flesh. I think a few people were quite shocked or taken aback. It's often the case when it's like the old days when you had a pen pal that you've known for since your childhood, and 30 years into the relationship you meet them for the first time and you think, oh fuck, or something. So, oh, pardon my language. um you know um these things happen, don't they? Okay, moving on before my language goes down the rabbit hole too. Right, back on vrfocus.com, a collaboration tool, the Wild partners with, no, sorry, collaboration tool called the Wild partners with Igloo Vision on shared immersive environments. review projects in an igloo or in VR. This seems. I think the idea here is that we've heard of VR. You put your headset on and people have these giant halls so you can play shoot 'em ups and sort of run around without bumping into walls. Well, I think the actual real world environment they're after here is like an igloo. In other words, it's a hemisphere dome, isn't it? You go in it, and the environment you're in is made up of the well, if you can call the inside of a igloo a wall, that is the environment. I've seen a lot of things on web VR type stuff, and on a couple of virtual world things on the iPad that were kind of interesting that way. They were clearly, you could probably done in Unity and with Mesh, you could look up and you could look in all sorts of directions, and it felt rather compelling. But as you walked, eventually you would come to a boundary, and you'd just go smack up against a wall. But the wall wasn't actually a wall. You'd realise you're on the edge of a dome, and you'd look up, and there was sort of mapping on the dome of the sky or something, and suddenly you realised you were up against photographs, and the illusion fell apart. But it's one way of doing it. It's one way of doing it. So anyway, there's quite a few videos on this in this article. Apparently, the Wild is geared at businesses. To be honest, you can get a free trial by requesting access, but presumably you've got to be a business to do this thing. Anyway, find out more about it at vrfocus.com. You'll be pleased to know my tabs are nearing the end.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yay! Right, this is uploadvr.com again. More Oculus Quest developers see strong sales despite curation frustration. That's a name. Isn't that been um, a friend of mine? She's an artist actually. I told her what we have pop email, right? But my first memory of what do you call them? The acronym pop, right? Was in web terms, it was a hotspot on the internet background. It was known as point of presence. Huh? I remember this woman said, "God, that'd be a good name for a rock band."
Yeah.
Point presence. And actually, I really love the ring of this last line: curation frustration.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I curate a lot or go through things that have been curated. But that's the name of the band I'm going to form when I'm young again.
All right.
Yeah, curation frustration. Right. Anyway, sorry, a bit silly now. It's a long program today, and
Yeah. Yeah.
the rabbit hole is approaching. I must avoid it at all costs. Um, yeah. Anyway, it's just an overview. Stringent approval process. For people, developers and stuff. Red matter. The odd video, setting a new apps that have set new benchmarks and stuff like that. Interesting, interesting. Particularly if you're into the headset side of things. Probably less so if you're not into the headset side of things. Right. And yeah, this is the last one now, the last obvious
Oh.
one. This
Okay.
again is it's a strange thing. It's at idahonews.com. So this must come from Idaho, Boise, Idaho, in fact. So it's idahonews.com. And this was on Friday, September 6th. So a couple of days ago, really. Boise, or Boise or something, I don't know. It's an airport in somewhere called Boise. I wonder if it's a noisy Boise. I bet it is if it's an airport. Come on. So anyway, this airport prepares autistic passengers using virtual reality experience. This is interesting. I mean, it's in-flight experience virtual reality can also be interesting, but actually, traveling can be challenging for children and adults with autism, according to Autism Speaks, and this is really talking about the specific use of virtuality on board a plane to sort of be, how should I say, maybe more stress free for people with autism,
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
Um, anyway, read about that at idahonews.com. .com. So I'm just going to switch briefly. I haven't got any other tabs open, but there's a couple here I might have mentioned. This is on the Metaworld news feed, so it's twitter.com/Metaworld News, and there seems to be a couple of things here I don't think we've covered. A wide screen being one of them. Right. This is the site Business Daily Africa. That's three words squashed. Business Daily Africa. Um, Spelt just the way you would think of it, but squashed together, no spaces. So businessdailyafrica.com, and obviously you get a pop up when you go there because they want you to subscribe or something. Okay, this is about tapping virtual reality tech to reduce the death of infants. I've got a feeling this should have been in the main feed and accidentally went to the wrong button because I don't know what it's stayed in Metaworld news feed, which is social worlds. The World Health Organization estimates approximately 1 million children die in the first month of life in low middle income countries. Um, Two-thirds of these children, including those in Kenya, could be saved if the health workers have adequate training and resources to adopt and implement a newly improved virtual reality technology system. So another example. Oh yeah, it's quite a lot to read there. Well, it's a fair bit of summary to read there. It's rather distressing that article because it's. I don't think there's a link, an outgoing link in the whole article, which is a bit of an oversight in this day and age. But nevertheless, interesting article there about what they're doing. So businessdailyafrica.com is where that article is, and if you want the link to follow, you need to. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Right, I'm going to do something here. I'm getting a right click menu up, and I'm going to go tweet page.
Mm. Okay.
And I am now going to send that to the Malbones feed, so you can also get it on the Malbones feed as well. Okay, so don't worry if you're only following me as Malbones, you can get it there. Just now it's gone up to. Okay, and another one that seems to have gone a bit astray here 2 days ago um, is HackMD. This is a site called Hack MDIO, so HACKMD.io. And this probably does fit in the metaverse metaworld news feed more. This is a kit called ExoKit Web, and it can handle sites made with any web XR engine. 3JS, A-Frame, Babylon JS, Unity, JNS Web. It can handle all of them apparently, and it describes itself as a web metaverse engine. So again, these are virtual worlds on web pages like the ones in the Firefox browser and stuff like that. Um, Again, you've got a nice little picture. Um, Avia presenting in hubs at M3. Right, so that is Hubs, which I think is Mozilla Hubs, isn't it?
Hmm.
Um, so I've got various examples here. This is really one for you techies that fancy, managing to put yourself, your virtual environments on the web in one form or another. And this is a bit of a hub. Um, Going into the API, JavaScript, virtual GL. God, there's a lot in here. Exokit Web is also on GitHub, so you can go and hack it for yourself. Um, they've got Exokit has a Discord channel too, which is interesting. Guess what? It's accepting the invite
Okay.
because I don't think I've got that one.
We all saw it happen
Uh,
right here.
yes, yes, you're getting you're seeing an exercise in me doing my thingies, as it were. Right. Um, yeah. Interesting enough, you'd have to go here and read it. If you're a developer of any sort, this could be very interesting indeed, I think. Plenty of GitLab code, demos you can try, all sorts of things. Okay, so put that away. We're back under Noisy Boise. Hey, oh, sorry. Um, Right, and I think that's it. The only other feed here is the Malbone's Writer one, and you don't want that. We'll be here for the next week just going through that. There's,
Watching videos. Yep.
listening to about 700 or 800 posts there a day. I don't know how I do it, to be honest. It's all down to that button you just saw. Tweet.
Tweet.
Right. Okay. I think we're all done for the picture part of the links. James, your thoughts on all that lot, and there were quite a lot today.
Yeah, you know the first article about education was interesting to me. From
Mm.
the first one at the top of the show, part one, and um, education is always cited as being so important, but it's also the first thing that's sidelined when a virtual world is having difficulty functioning or being sustainable. It's we all recognize it's
Yeah.
so important, but how do we support it? Yeah.
Okay, I've got a little plus thing now. We've just been joined. James will probably show her on camera by Franny, Dr. Fran, Dr. Fran Babok. In fact, I can't hear you, Franny, and I don't know if James can either because we're actually just recording our new show and we've taken advantage of your wonderful venue here to plonk ourselves down in. So I've said it on air a few times. Thank you for providing a location for us to sit and rabbit. We're doing our voice on Discord, which is why we can't actually hear you. But thank you very much. This is a nice little place to be able to sit and do our thing. Immediately before your what is it? It's 2 o'clock. Your salon, isn't it? So yeah. Okay. So back. Okay, James. Well, I think we're finished, aren't we? That's
Yeah.
a very
Yeah.
good time. That's very good timing. That. Yeah. Education is a very big thing, but it's people don't have the budget, for a lot of these education things. I guess it's
Right. Right.
sort of thing. So, and unless you're actually on the receiving end of education or you are actually a teacher, then I can see it's sort of getting sidelined a bit. It doesn't. It should be have more a greater priority than the mainstream of commerce, but it always seems to me that commerce and things that are advertised and consumerism just wins out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything learning or education. Well, where's the money? And it ain't there.
Yep.
Okay, folks. Well, that's it for this week. So I will turn to my left, as it were, and say it's goodbye from him.
And I'll turn to my right and say it's goodbye from him.
Which means it's goodbye from both of us. And we will return same time, probably the same place, next week for another roundup of the week's news. So bye for now. Have a good week.